Hi, I'm Tanya Johnson, registered psychologist, registered play therapist, co-founder of the Institute of Child Psychology. Today, we're going to talk about our role as parents, as being a detective in our child's world. So often, when our children present with behaviors, we end up focusing on the behavior instead of actually asking what's going on underneath. I'm going to talk about this from a parenting perspective and then also from a school perspective. So often parents want to know, what do I do in the moment with my kiddo? Great question. And if you've listened to anything else by the Institute, you will know that we're always talking about the power of co-regulation. Our words have very little power when our children are upset. It all has to do with our body. We want to make sure that we're down on their level. We're taking those deep breaths. Our voice is calming. We're using our body to calm their body. That is how children start to learn to emotionally regulate, through being with a calm adult repeatedly during stressful situations. They also learn how to emotionally regulate through having a wide emotional vocabulary. So being able to identify what's actually happening in their body. I feel frustrated. I feel disappointed. I feel sad. Noticing where it is in their body, how it feels in their body, and being able to express it. Daniel Siegel's Name It to Tame It studies are fantastic in this area. So, being able to co-regulate, being able to name feelings, and being able to use strategies like deep breathing. We know that they're only able to really utilize those strategies if they are practiced on a daily basis. Quick little tip here, do it before dinner as a family. Practice that deep breathing, practice mindfulness, and then they're more likely to use it during those difficult moments. So that's in the moment. But really, there's not enough focus on what's actually happening outside of that. When we're able to say, okay, when is my child triggered? How often are they triggered? What's happening with the adults in the house when they're triggered? What's happening with our stress levels? What's happening in terms of chaos in the house when they're triggered? As a family, are we prioritizing sleep, play, physical movement, connection? All of those are ingredients towards wellness. Sometimes it's much harder to look at what's actually happening in our homes instead of to just focus on the problem or the child with the problem. It's much harder to look at myself and go, we've been stressed, we've been running around, he's had no time with me. That is what this behavior is about. That can be much more vulnerable, but far more impactful. And so in clinic, I'm often asking families to dig deeper, to ask themselves what's happening in multiple different areas with this little one. Again, a harder conversation, but long term, that's where we see wellness. So that's the first thing. When we're looking at schools, it's the same thing. So often in schools, because we're having to move so quickly with so many students, we end up focusing on behaviors. And really, we need to look beneath the surface. In looking beneath the surface, I like to use the 4 pillars of wellness from thunderbird.org. Purpose, hope, meaning, and belonging. So purpose, parents' permission, I will speak to their educator and I will ask, in terms of purpose, what lights this child up? What makes them come to school? Where do you see them the best version of themselves? How can we increase those moments? How can we help this little one to know that they count at school? Can we make them a reading buddy, a special helper? Can we make them in charge of a new board game club? It's the same as me. If I don't feel as if I have a sense of purpose, if I don't feel as if I count, as if I'm competent, as if I'm needed when I go to work, it's really hard to get up every single day, particularly if things are stressful at home, and go to school. That's purpose. Belonging. I love Daniel Siegel's 4 S's. Does this child feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure? And often to educators, I'll say those 4 words. Okay, when I ask you about Johnny and feeling safe in the class, what comes up for you? When I ask you about Johnny and feeling seen in the class, what comes up for you? When I ask you about soothed in Johnny, what comes up for you? And when I ask you about secure in Johnny, what comes up for you? Safe, seen, secure, and soothed. I ask them what their relationship is like with the child. When the child lies in bed at night, what do they think this child thinks about them? What is this child's love language? Do they think the child might be highly sensitive? What's getting in the way of connecting with this child? What is this child's connections like with others and with administration? And I'm really hoping for lots of concrete examples. So we've got purpose, belonging, hope. Who does this child connect with? When they are struggling, who do they go to? How do they know that they are cared for in the school? Beyond a bullying lecture, beyond a social emotional program, beyond motivational posters on the wall. Who is this child's person at the school? How do they know that they are deeply cared for? And then meaning. Meaning's the last one. Obviously, meaning's a big one. It can go in several different directions. But I always like to look at meaning as, how does this child see their culture, values, religion, their selves reflected back in the culture and the environment of the school? How do they know that they are an integral part of this school? That this school feels like a place where they can put down their roots, where they can relax, where they don't have to be hypervigilant, where they can learn and grow and dream. And so as you can see, although I work with children all of the time, my work is working with adults to find those strings, to find the connections, to see what is missing. You don't need to be a therapist to do this. Every child needs an adult in their world who says, I care and I will look deeper. For those of you who are interested, we have a wonderful course on fostering resiliency. I would love it if you joined me in the workshop.